it combines communication, gravitas, and appearance. And for those of you who are not familiar, gravitas is basically a seriousness, kind of a gravity. So it kind of adds to your character and your presentation. We all strive to be our most present selves, and it helps us get taken more seriously. It helps us get our points across, and also it helps us feel confident. In the end, presence involves having the most powerful version of yourself shine through. It's really what helps you give that presentation or close that business deal, for instance. So with that, I'd like to call upon our guests, if we have any guests, to kind of share what brought you to Toastmasters and how you heard about it.
I'm a guest. I've already done an intro. I'm not sure I want to repeat it, but if there's any questions that you have, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Carlos.
Go ahead, Carlos, if you can say 1 or 2 sentences. I don't think James or
I was
Abhishek can.
invited by Jamal, whom I admire greatly as this incredible source of positive energy in the world. We met at Cisco Speaks, and even though I'm busy and I had something to finish yesterday, as soon as I finished it, I said, all right, I'll come by as a guest. And she said, will you be an evaluator? And I said, sure. That brought me here.
Thank you, Carlos. I think everyone else has been here for a while, so I think
James,
there's.
we can.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice to be here again. I visited for the first time last week. I find the club an intriguing one. I like the energy, and I just look forward to another great meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, James. So with that, I'll go ahead and introduce the functionary roles. So our first will be our interpersonal communication tip, and that will be Jamal George.
Thank you.
Jamal?
Thank you, Jaydeep. Today's theme is presence. And what presence means to me is to be aware of what I am doing. And to be aware means not to be in autopilot mode, but to be thoughtful in what I'm saying. And when I'm thoughtful or I think about what I'm saying, then there is no regrets because I'm present. So being able to speak with no regrets means I am present. And presence is the most precious gift that I can give to any other fellow human being. Back to you.
Thank you, Jamal. And I would like to introduce our word master of the day, and that is Abhishek Jaitley. Did I pronounce his last name right?
Yeah. Thank you, Toastmaster. So the word of the day is enthrall, which means to captivate or charm. And one usage of this word is magicians have been enthralling the audiences since centuries. And I would encourage you all to use this word, and I would keep a note of this during your speeches. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. I would now like to call upon our counter, Jamal George, to describe her role.
As an counter, I will keep track of filler words like so, and these filler words are kind of annoying and stops the flow of message. And I will give a report at the end. Back to you, Jaydeep.
Thank you, Jamal. I would now like to introduce our timer, Elizabeth Chitoris. Did I pronounce the last name correctly?
Yes, you did. Thank you, Jaydeep. In Toastmasters, one of our goals is to speak within the allowed time limit. My role as timer today is to track the time of each of the prepared speeches, the speech evaluations, and the table topics. When you have reached the minimum time, I will share the green background. Oh dear, that's not working. I'm gonna have to fix that. something's not going on here. And when you have reached the halfway point, I will show the yellow background. And then when you have reached the time limit, I will show the red background. For the prepared speeches today, our speakers have between 5 and 7 minutes. Our table topic speeches are between 1 to 2 minutes, and our speech evaluations are from 2 to 3 minutes. At the end of the meeting, I will give a report on the times. Thank you. Back to you, Jaydeep.
Thank you, Elizabeth. With that, we will start with our speaking roles. Our first speaker is Doris Say. Is that correct? And our evaluator would be James Denson. James, can you briefly share the purpose of Doris's speech, please?
Thank you very much. And you can call me Jim. Jim, I prefer Jim, so I'll change that. The purpose of Doris's speech today, she'll be speaking from the Pathways Engaging Humor Level 1 Evaluation and Feedback. Purpose of her speech is to practice applying feedback and will serve as a speech evaluator during a future club meeting. The title of her speech is A Good Deal, Great Experience, Great Value, and the length of the speech is 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Doris, a good deal, great experience, great value. A good deal, great experience, great value. Doris.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I believe Toastmasters is the best cost-effective training program on communication. If we attend a training class from Carnegie or Tony Robbins, it will cost us hundreds of dollars. And Toastmasters has a safe and supportive program for less than the cost of a meal. And you can practice the skills for the whole month. Besides, Harvey McKay, the author of the book, Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, even endorsed the Toastmasters program. And he said he will reimburse the cost to us if we were not satisfied with the program. So you see, it is a good deal. My original intention of joining Toastmasters was to learn what to speak and how to speak. And I was enthralled that I not only achieved those goals, I was learning much more than I expected. And those skills, extra skills, empower me to expand my horizon. And let me share my experience with you. First of all, I learned how to compose a speech. That means what to say in the speech. First, we have to decide on a topic, and it's best to talk on something that we are familiar with or we can well research. And then we decide on the style we want to do it. For example, whether it's informing or entertaining or persuading your audience. And we also want to organize the material so that it can have a good beginning, a body, and a conclusion, so that people can remember our message. And we want to keep focus so that we will only talk about the relevant things, cut out all the irrelevant information that doesn't involve with the topic. And the language to use, we have to use simple sentences. It is better to use expressive, descriptive words. Instead of saying, when he saw his mother at the door, he got out from his seat and walked quickly and went to greet her warmly. You can say that when he saw his mother at the reception area, he jumped out from his seat with joy and rushed over and gave her a big hug. So this will describe the scene for the audience and is much powerful, more powerful than just a very ordinary sentence. And also when we talk about something, we want to give supporting stories or examples so that people are clear with the idea we introduce. And lastly, we want to spice our speech with humors or quotes. When we quote somebody's work, it is better to cite the sources of the quote, and it should be less than 25% of our speech. Once we got our speech written, now we can concentrate on how to deliver the speech so that people can remember it. First, if we want to show any props or use any equipment, it is better to set it up in advance and test them so that it will be running smoothly during the speech. And secondly, our postures. We should stand upright and without crunching so that people can see that we are full of confidence and we should be energized to give our speech. And of course, our voice should be loud enough so that everybody can hear our speech. There should be no apology. We should not draw people to our weakness. Eye contact, we should remain connected with our audience. For Zoom meeting, people used to look at the screen. Instead, we should look at the camera so that people will feel that we are talking to them. Avoid looking to the right and the left at the same time. Otherwise, we'll make our audience very dizzy watching us giving the speech. Vocal variety is important to add life to our speech. Work some dialogues in your speech so that we can exercise high and low, soft and loud, quick and slow pace. And when we stop pacing, we should not fill with any other filler words like you know, so. And lastly, our gestures should not be elbow locked like this or meaningless. People like to talk with their hands like this. It's so boring and meaningless. We can, use our hands freely. Instead of pointing to people with one finger, use an open palm so that people won't be offensive. There are many things that we learned in extra. For example, table topics let us develop our listening, thinking, and speaking skills all at one time. And using humor is another thing to spice up our meeting and get the attention from our audience. For evaluations, we learned how to give people constructive feedback instead of criticism or judgment. All these are extra bonus. And although I I have joined Toastmaster for a long time, I just felt that I was just touching the tip of the iceberg. And there are still many boundless riches underneath for me to explore. The first woman international president once said, if you can get out of what you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. Toastmasters will provide us a good deal for what we pay for. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Doris. Yeah, definitely. I think given the skills that we pick up from Toastmasters and all we learn, it is an amazing value. Absolutely. Okay, timer, could you please give everyone 1 minute to provide feedback to Doris through private chat?
Okay, time's up.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, so we will now move on to our second prepared speech by Jamal George. And I'd like to call upon our second evaluator, Carlos Puig, to briefly state the purpose of Jamal's speech.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. This is the same type of speech that was given a moment ago, but let me repeat the objectives. Purpose of the speech is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. So we're now in the first stage where the member is presenting V1, version 1 of the speech. And in general, it's about any subject or anything that the member wants to speak about. So today we are privileged to have Jamal doing evaluation and feedback number 1 in effective coaching. And her title is All I Needed to Know I Learned in Toastmasters. Sounds very intriguing. Please give a warm welcome to Jamal George.
Thank you, Carlos. Jamal, all I needed to know I learned in Toastmasters. All I needed to know I learned in Toastmasters, Jamal.
Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, I have a pet question that I would like to ask. How long was it between when you first heard of Toastmasters and when you went to your first meeting? You can shout it out or write the answer in Zoom chat. Was it 2 months, 3 years, 20 years?
One week.
Not bad, 1 week.
7 years.
Wow. How about others? 2 years, 3 years, okay, multiple. So I can see couple of days, couple of weeks, multiple years, wide range. So I am not alone. So that's good. Excellent. It took me 10 years to get my butt into a meeting. It's a shame that I waited this long because all I wanted to learn, I learned in Toastmasters. Today, I'm going to share 3 of those lessons. Lesson number 1, all skills are muscles we can exercise. Lesson 2, if you can run a Toastmasters meeting, you can run anything. And lesson 3, You can learn anytime from anyone. So lesson 1, all skills are muscles we can exercise. So you may have seen in the Toastmasters agenda, there is this section called table topics, which is impromptu speaking. Table topics is one of the things that sold me on Toastmasters. And after 3 months, it still scared the heck out of me. Yes, for 3 months straight, I couldn't raise my hand for table topics. So why do Toastmasters if I'm not making any change? So I decided to do table topics in every meeting I attended. At first, it wasn't pretty. I made fellow members suffer through my rambling, incomplete sentences. And sometimes I still do it. But after a while, outside Toastmasters, I started noticing a change in making small talk, collaborations at work, thinking of something funny to say at a dinner or a meeting. It was as if repeatedly drawing information from my brain for table topics helped me to draw information from my head in other situations. So thinking on my feet or being more funny are all skills that I thought was unchangeable are muscles we can exercise. Lesson 2, if you can run a Toastmasters meeting, you can run anything. You may have noticed this agenda, Toastmasters agenda, and this agenda sold me on Toastmasters. In this agenda, only 10 to 14 minutes is a fully prepared content. The rest is introduction, table topics, evaluation, and functionary roles. Functionary roles like R counter scared the heck out of me, especially after someone counted 37 ums and ahs after my first meeting. But then it was clear after hitting the timer, removing the extraneous words, broadening my vocabulary, and having evaluators give immediate feedback that all these roles turn Toastmasters meeting into a multi-skill improvement workshop. And Toastmaster of the day, like Jaydeep, is responsible in making sure people show up and for crafting and running a meeting that is welcoming and fun. I also realized that these skills can be taken outside in real life, helping junior team members to present by providing them guardrails, as well as giving them room for improvement. So from organizing to leadership to creativity, and applying these skills in real life, if you can run a Toastmasters meeting, you can run anything. Lesson 3, you can learn anytime from anyone. So be at this club or visiting other clubs or even going to Toastmasters conference. I always meet advanced and skillful Toastmasters that give me sharp advice, smart suggestions, interesting life experiences. And I noticed all these people have one thing in common. They all have been club officers. So I came just to improve my soft skills. And then when a Toastmaster asked me, why don't you run for a club secretary? I was hesitant at first. But then I thought, if that person thinks that I can do a good job, I should say yes to it. And just like Toastmasters meeting, officership offers guardrails, but also room for creativity. And even from guests, we ask for feedback as well as speakers' feedback, as well as meeting feedback, because we can get valuable insights from anyone at any time. So we just have to keep our minds open and we can get new learnings from anyone at any time. To sum up, The 3 lessons are: all skills are muscles we can exercise. If you can run a Toastmasters meeting, you can run anything. And lastly, be ready to learn anytime from anyone. I want to congratulate you for taking this time to join a Toastmasters meeting. But please don't wait 10 years to join a Toastmasters club. And if you want to learn more than these 3 lessons, come and join Interpersonal Toastmasters. Toastmaster.
Thank you, JMO. I think all those points really did resonate with me. I think the one that resonated the most was being surrounded by people who kind of know more than you, because I think from those people, you can really learn the most. Okay, timer, could you please give everyone 1 minute to give feedback to JMO through private chat?
One minute is up.
Thank you, timer. I would now like to call upon our table topics master, Elizabeth.
Thank you, JD. I'll be your table topics master for today. I tried hard to find some questions I could ask about this topic of presence. It's kind of hard to describe exactly. I'm going to try to get at it through a few different angles. By asking some questions, I'm going to call on different members and guests, and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the question. Goal is to try to speak for the minimum of 1 minute. At the same time, I'm also going to be timing you. So this is going to be a good multitasking experiment for me to see if I can do it. I guess my first question, I will call on Nish. Is that how you say your name? Nish? Great. So I read a definition of presence, which said, presence is when you are no longer waiting for the next moment, when you are enjoying the present moment. So my question, kind of broad, obviously, answer how you can. But are there times in your life when you experience this way of being where you are totally immersed and you're no longer waiting for the next moment? You're really into the present moment. Is there a certain activity that you do, or can you share a time when this has happened to you?
Sure.
Thanks.
So about, I think 12 years ago, I was living in the UK, and I just visiting US for a conference. And with the work colleagues, after a few too many drinks, everyone decided to go skydiving the next day. I agreed. However, I was very afraid of heights. So as we got there, the instructions for the skydiving, I could only describe as they would say, put your hands up or you'll die. Do this or you'll die. Or pull your parachute or you'll die. This is how the safety briefing went. So thoroughly scared, I went and I sat next to my instructor, who the only way I could describe is sat there like a Buddha, calm, and whatever I yelled at him, he would just go thumbs up. As we jumped out, The only thing I did was put my hand and screamed like a little kid in very high-pitched voice. And then something really nasty happened. I puked. And if you didn't know what happens when you jump out and fly at 200 miles an hour and you puke, it ends up in your face. So by the time we got down, I just ran away. I forgot my wallet in the cabin. I actually took, I just dashed out so that my work colleagues don't actually spot me. And the next day I had to come and get my wallet and keys. So when I came, my instructor saw me and yelled, "Hey, puke face, come here." So I got there, he got my wallet and keys. And then he explained he'd gotten prostate cancer and he had gotten 1 week to live. He went through a surgery, miraculously survived, and then he decided to quit his job in Silicon Valley and went to Las Vegas to become a skydiving instructor because that's what he wanted to always do. And one thing he told me is, we always live for the destination and for the end success, and we define our happiness based on that. But if we try to enjoy our journey, then we'll be happy all the time. And that was one thing I took with me. And if I would have enjoyed the entire skydiving journey instead of just waiting to get to the end, maybe I would not have puked. But that was something I took with me since then. So living in the present moment or enjoying the journey is much more worth than actually waiting for the destination to be happy.
Thank you, Nish. That was a great take on presence and the present moment, and a very funny skydiving experience. I've never tried it myself. I think I would be too terrified. Thanks for starting us off. My next question is about listening. Another aspect of presence and being in the present moment when you are communicating with someone else is that you are really listening to what they are saying. People can sense when you're listening. You're not looking down at your phone, you're not looking up at the stars, you're engaged. How do you show people that you're talking with that you're listening to them? Are there things that you do, gestures, motions, something like that? I would like to call on Carlos.
Sorry, it takes a while to find the mute button. After I quit Qualcomm, I went through a 1-year program on becoming a professional coach, a certified professional coach, and listening and how to do it came up a lot. And I learned a lot, and I found that I had all kinds of natural tendencies that were not working for me. The number one natural tendency is don't come in with your own story. Here somebody's telling you this wonderful story about their life and this and that. And if you say, oh yeah, I had the same experience, that's not binding you. That's really throwing away the story that you're receiving. So what you think and what you've had in your experience is not what's there. Some people are able to look inside and share what they're experiencing, and what they need is time. They need to be able to sit silently and feel what's inside and come up with the thoughts and stumble through it. So those people need a lot of silence. Other people are very engaged and they're talking and they're this and that and the other thing. And then your job as a coach is to slow them down so that they can be present to their own experience, not just to their own words and what's going on. So presence is very much a part of listening. And depending on the level of presence of the person who is speaking, you end up mirroring either the slowing down or the perhaps speeding up. And the last tip is simply to ask clarifying and interested questions that are open-ended. Not, did you go to the store yesterday? What did you buy? What were you feeling at the time that you got out of the house and you went to the store? What happened when you were there? And then quiet. So the amount of talking is maybe 10 to 20% of the whole, and the amount of listening is the rest of it. But those questions, those interested questions, are the key to maintaining the connection in a conversation with a coach. Adam, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Carlos. Wow, what a great response. That must have been an interesting program where you were learning about being a coach. And those seem spot on, those recommendations, especially like, asking the open-ended questions. Which is kind of what Table Topics is about. Asking those open-ended type questions, where hopefully you can come up with an answer. I think we have time for one more. I would like to call upon, I'm trying to see if there's anyone else who doesn't have a speaking role. Maybe I will call on Abhishek. So Abhishek, my next question is about being fully present means that you are being the best version of yourself. And that often comes with what drives you. And I read a question describing this, which asks, what is your why? So why are you in a conversation? Why are you, in a job interview? And really getting clarity about what it is that you want and what is driving you. Can you think about a situation where you had a very strong reason and rationale for having a conversation with someone, or maybe in a job interview, and where this really came through, where you can describe a situation like that?
So I think, yeah, the point you said about being present where something matters to you is resonant to me, because I ended up screwing a lot of interviews because of anxiety. And I think it's kind of, for me, was an inverse relation between how much I was present, how important the thing was to me. Actually, the more important the thing was to me, I was less present and more anxious in it. That is what ended up happening. Whereas, so then I realized actually it should be the other way around. Like the more important the thing is, I should be actually more present in that. So that's when I realized that I kind of need to work on my on this aspect. And as Jamal mentioned in her speech, I do feel it is a muscle, and it is a physiological process as well as like a state of mind. So I worked on breathing exercises and numerous other ways to improve that. So, and it all came from me analyzing with what is important to me, and I need to be present in those situations. For example, talking with my partner, or spending time with loved ones, interviews, or during sports. I should be more present because these things are important to me. So yeah, that thought really resonates with me about finding what is my why and being present in those situations. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Abhishek. You really ran with that question. And I am very impressed that you have actually thought about this and you made it happen for yourself. You understood your why and how important that is in communicating and becoming a better communicator. Wow. So thank you everyone for participating in this table topic session. I'm going to turn it back over to Jaydeep.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, great table topic session today. Great to hear everyone's different stories. I would like to call upon our first evaluator, Jim, to give the evaluation of Doris's speech. Jim?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Doris Say And her speech, a good deal, great experience, great value. Doris, she did a wonderful job of convincing us of that. You had a very strong opening sentence as to why you believe that Toastmasters is such a great deal. And you did that by citing the author of the book, To Swim with the Sharks, who actually endorsed Toastmasters. I think that's a very effective means that you used to show us how credible Toastmasters actually is by how other people have endorsed it. So you did a wonderful job of that. And also what was very effective, I think, about your speech is that you actually gave the building blocks of what it means to give a good speech. You took us through each step, from building the speech to organizing the speech to what style was required depending on the type of speech it is, whether you were going to give an informative speech, a humorous speech, what have you. All of the elements were there. And you also made it very important that how we presented it matters in terms of our posture, in terms of gesturing, in terms of vocal variety, things of that nature. You really, really did a great job of going through practically every aspect that a person would need to become or to give an effective speech. If I were to make a couple of suggestions for improvement, we always remember the first time that we did something. And as you were speaking about the great value that Toastmasters gives us, I was hoping to hear from you about, well, what about when you were preparing your first speech? What was it like for you? You probably remember it very vividly. And you told us about the importance of telling stories. I think a story from you about the very first speech that you gave in Toastmasters and what that was like for you, I think that would be a very good way for us to get to know you a little better in terms of your Toastmasters journey. That's one suggestion I have. And another suggestion I have for you is at the end of the speech, you told us what a great value Toastmasters is. But I saw your speech as a little bit of, you're trying to make a pitch to us as to why we should consider Toastmasters. I think you could have made a more direct appeal, close the sale, invite us to actually come to a Toastmasters meeting. Since you've already shown us so well what the value is, take the next step, invite us to a meeting, make a more direct call to action. I think some of those things would have made your excellent speech even better. Thank you very much, Doris, for a great speech, and please continue, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jim. I would now like to call upon our second evaluator, Carlos, to evaluate Jamal's speech.
Thank you, Jamal, for a wonderful call to action on joining this club. That speech really nailed it. It's a very effective speech as a recruiting speech. I'll talk first about 3 different things that I like particularly. However, most of the time I want to spend on the topic of presence. I challenge myself to make this a presence evaluation. I have no idea really what that means. Let's see where it leads us. 3 things I like. Number 1, the message. wasn't just about you come to Toastmasters and you gain Toastmaster skills. It's like you learn something and then you can learn any skill, you can lead anywhere, and you can learn from anybody at any place. These are broad, general skills that appeal to everybody, no matter what kind of life choices they've made. That made it immediately appealing to me. This is not just another canned pitch for Toastmasters. This is a pitch for a full life. Number two, your personal experience. James just mentioned how important that is. And over you said, I had this trouble and I tried and I persevered and I got it. Every time you talked about yourself and with a little bit of humor, I felt drawn to you. And lastly, I don't want to spend a lot of time, but the structure and the delivery was fabulous. The gestures, the facial expressions, the vocal variety, the sequencing, everything else, perfect textbook example of a strong speech. Let's move on to presence. First, I thought, well, what is it about Jamal that's making her present? But then I switched and I said, what is it about Jamal's speech that's helping me be present? The audience be present. And to some extent, you could say presence invites presence. But then the audience's presence also invites the speaker's presence. It's a resonance. At the beginning, you had a lot of audience interaction. You asked a question that asked us to participate. You were funny, you were excited, you were animated, you were smiling. And I'm saying to myself, wow, what a charming person. This is somebody I want to be friends with. Yay. And the content was sort of in there, but it was really your manner of being that was drawing me to you. Bingo. I am present, you're present. And I'm feeling my body and there's full of joy and it's full of relaxation and it's full of excitement. Something shifted in the second half of the speech. I noticed inside that I wasn't so excited and I wasn't so engaged. And in fact, I began to disconnect. Whoa, boy, what's that about? Same speaker, same skills. And the best I can come up with is that I felt lectured to, that you were the expert. And instead of this exciting, inviting person, you now had taken on the role of, I am the person who knows it, and I'm here to impart a lot of wisdom to you in a long time. Now, it was subtle. And I think at the ending, your closing also called back to me and re-engaged me. So it wasn't a thing, but second half of the speech, something in the tone of the speech, the lack of pauses, the speaking very quickly and not allowing me to simply feel what I felt before you went on to the next topic, made it harder for me to be present. So think about what happened in the first half of the speech and somehow make the second half similar in your energy and a little less about, I have something to tell you that's important to you. It's more like, I want to share my experience and my personal experiences. Incredible speech, incredible pitch for the club. Great generalizable message for everybody. Skills, leadership, learning. Amazing job in creating presence in me and in you at the beginning. And then watch those last couple of minutes before you get to the closing and think how you can maintain that presence that we so love. This is not a criticism. This is like a celebration of the speech. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you, evaluators, for those great detailed evaluations. I'd now like to call upon our functionary reports. First, I'd like to call upon our word master, Abhishek, to give his report.
Thank you, Toastmaster. So I noticed that Doris used the word enthralled in a speech. And sorry if I missed anyone else, but yeah, I was really enthralled by your speeches. So yeah, thanks for using this word. Yeah. Back to you.
Thank you, Abhishek. I'd now like to call upon our counter, Jamal, to give her report.
Thank you, JV. I didn't do a good job as an art counter because I was so enthralled with today's meeting and even the speeches as well as the table topics. So I would say everyone did a great job and I couldn't find any ums or ahs. Back to you.
Thank you, Jamal. I'd now like to call upon our final role, our timer, and that's Elizabeth.
Thank you, Jaydeep. I'll be happy to share the times. Doris's speech was 8 minutes and 24 seconds, a little bit long. Jamal, your speech was a little bit over at 7 minutes and 10 seconds. For table topics, we had 3 speakers. Nish spoke for 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Carlos spoke for 1 minute and 58 seconds, just under the window there. And Abhishek spoke for 1 minute and 25 seconds. Great job there. And for our evaluations, Jim spoke for 4 minutes and Carlos spoke for 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Back to you, Jaydeep.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, fantastic meeting today. I was also very enthralled. And I'd like to call upon our guests now to hear their inputs. Nish, what did you think of today's meeting?
Sorry, I joined a bit late, but I thought it was very well organized, and I looking forward to joining you guys in the future as well.
Thank you, Nish. I want to call upon Carlos. I know you've been a Toastmaster member before, but what did you think of today's meeting?
I found the theme of presence as it was carried through Jamal's speech and the table topics to be really fascinating, because it stimulated me all kinds of reflections that I normally would not have at a Toastmasters meeting. So this was a unique, unprecedented, present Toastmasters meeting that I haven't before. And I thank you all for creating that experience for me. Technically, it was well run, so I don't have a lot to say. I mean, you know the ropes, you know how to deal with it. But lifting the meeting to that level, instead of talking about fall or Thanksgiving or one of these things, but lifting it to that level inspires me. It also makes me a little concerned about how successful the club will be to maintain that level, because that's not accessible to everybody. And we don't want a club that excludes people because they haven't quite reached the level where they know what presence is. So here's the challenge to you guys. How do you talk to the people who understand presence while at the same time engaging those who have no idea what that means but are curious a little bit? I don't have an answer, but that is the big task for this club. I hope you succeed.
Thank you, Carlos. I see Neelam joined too. What did you think of today's meeting, Neelam?
Sorry, what?
Oh, sorry. I was calling on another guest.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, my mistake. Neelam. Okay, maybe we can go to people who kind of took on a new role. So, Doris, I know you gave your speech today. How did you feel about that?
Thank you, Jaydeep. Yeah, I really enjoyed the meeting, and I stepped in as the speaker. You know, I wasn't able to get another person to speak. Yeah, but I was rushing for the job, so I could have done better and practice more. But anyway, I enjoyed the meeting, and you have the 3 sessions. For table topics, I would prefer you ask the question before you pick the person. Otherwise, the other people don't need to listen to you, because the idea is for everybody to exercise their develop the sharper listening skills. So that's why it is better to ask the question and then pick the person. And like you have another guest, Neelam, there, who had no job, and you could have called on her when she was there to participate in the table topics. Otherwise, I think this is a great club, and it is founded on a very noble idea, and I wish you all the luck in getting your charter members, and I'm trying to help you in in the recruiting as well. Actually, I was assigned to be your club mentor, and hopefully I will, work with you, and I really enjoyed your presence and really like the meeting and the energies you guys have.
Thank you, Doris. With that, I'll go ahead and hand this back to the Sergeant at Arms. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, JD. This was a well-run meeting. I know we are over time, and great job, JD. You are the first role as a Toastmasters of the day. You're doing it for the first time. You did a great job, JD. Excellent. So I want to end this meeting by saying, please join this club. We are chartering soon. We'll be sending out information on how to join. I look forward to everyone's membership and continued participation. We cannot be interpersonal Toastmasters if you're not able to contribute. So we want everyone's participation, and we invite you to help us grow this club. Thank you so much. And I adjourn the meeting. And you can stay back if you want to chat or have something to share.
Thank you.
I've got to run. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. James, what do you thought? James, what do you think about, how was your experience?
I enjoyed this meeting very much, and especially the theme of presence. It spoke to me because what Craig was saying about listening, it's very easy when we've been Toastmasters before and we've gained some experience. It's so important not to take the basics for granted, like listening and things of that nature. It's easy to do, and it's sometimes tempting to do it. But the theme tonight kind of reinforced for me the idea of not taking any of this for granted in terms of our own development, but especially if we're trying to bring somebody else along. So I really appreciated the theme tonight.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, James. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next meeting.
Thank you. And I look forward to being there.
Awesome.
You did a great job in the evaluation. Very encouraging, and
thank you very much.
I did not do as well as you said, but thank you for your kind words.
Thank you.
And James is joining from New York.
Wow.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Great.
James, can you share with us a little bit of your Toastmasters experience?
Well, I first joined Toastmasters in 2013, and I'm a member of 2 clubs currently, and I wanted to join Toastmasters. It took a few years after I first heard about it, but I really felt it was important for me to join Toastmasters because in my past, in high school, college, some of the most fun times in my life, they were difficult because I had a severe stuttering problem, which really affected my participation. I didn't participate very much. And when I graduated college, I had trouble finding a job because the interviews were not going very well. With the job I have now as a paralegal, I got some control over my speech because you have to speak constantly and there's nowhere to hide. So I really do appreciate that. But I wanted a chance to become a more effective speaker outside of the office. So I heard from a friend about Toastmasters, and I did my due diligence. It took me a long time, but I'm so glad that I did, because not only have I become a better speaker, but I really enjoy also the evaluation part of things, the mentorship part, all of those things, the the coaching part of it, things like that. Whenever I get an opportunity to do that, I'm thrilled. So that's really been my experience in Toastmasters, and it's just a never-ending opportunity to learn, and it's very thrilling. And this club is just another example. It just seems to be a very energetic club, and I look forward to just coming to as many future meetings as I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James.
Sure. You're quite
Thank you
welcome.
for being part of the team. And definitely we want to hear your speeches, and I know you can help us, lift this club up, and great advices that you can share with us. Yeah, that'll be wonderful. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Take good care.
Thank you.
All right.
Neelam, do you have anything to share with us? How was your experience?
Is she still there?
Hi, yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, everything was so great today. Interpersonal communication is very much related to everyone, and it's something that we all can connect to. So I really enjoyed Jamal's speech with the present moment and how that is truly a present. And just all the table topics were amazing, the skydiving and all of that. I'm sorry, did you call me earlier? Did you call my name?
Yes, we called you to, yes, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was here. I don't know if you could hear me. And I also was coughing, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't, but I was here and I was listening to you guys, so. It was a very enjoyable meeting. Sorry, I have a cough.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I hope you can come next week.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was amazing. And I feel like this is a club that everyone can relate to all the topics, and we all deal with it in some shape or form. So thank you for having me. Are you guys gonna have your private meeting? You want me to leave now?
It's okay. Yeah, yeah, can stay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you called me, but I thought I heard your name. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nish, do you want anything? You want to share anything?
Well, I'm looking forward to helping you guys for those of you who don't know, I'm part of Toastmasters. I've been part of Toastmasters for the last 5 years, and I'm part of 101 few other clubs. And Jamal convinced me to join up. I mean, she pitched the idea, and it sounds interesting. So I'll do everything I can to help get more folks to join. And since I'm talking, I know Doris, Carlos, and Jamal, and Neelam and James just spoke. So JD, are you part of this club? Are you part of a different Toastmaster club and just joining just as a form of intro?
Oh, yeah, I'm a part of this club. So I'm an established member. I'm a reinstated member. So I used to be a member when I interned at McAfee a few years ago, but I'm reinstated as part of joining this club.
Cool.
So he'll be joining. Jaydeep is going to join us as a charter member. And Neelam, I met her last week. Neelam is still looking into it, right, Neelam? And James, yeah, we would love to have you as a member, and he's also James. We saw him last week, and he is evaluating us. Yeah. Today we had a little bit lower of attendance. Some dropped off because of they were not feeling well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. So next week our theme is Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll
All
be
right.
interesting. And Carlos does a great job with evaluation. I see him at Cisco.
Yes.
And continue to come, stop by when you can, and continue to help us with this club. And word of mouth, any way of spreading this information, that'll be like really great. Yeah. We have it on 3 social medias, LinkedIn, Meetup, as well as Facebook. But I feel there are more people out there who would benefit from this.
Yeah,
Club.
one more thing I don't know is at least I've helped being part of chartering a couple of other clubs, and one of the fastest way to pull in members was personally sharing on your own social media. So if you guys don't mind, whatever Jamal sends out, put it out on your LinkedIn or Facebook if you guys have it. That helps because that's your own personal thing, and your personal network is the best way to bring in more people. So if you don't mind, please share.
Thank you. Thank you, Nish. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna bid you goodbye. I really thank you for your invitation, Jamal. I will try to attend sporadically. Unfortunately, Thursday is a meeting day. I've been in Zoom meetings since 1 p.m. this afternoon with very little time for a break. So I'm reluctant to commit to something in the evening after a longish day. But on days that there's less of a load, or maybe things are going better, I will definitely come by and enjoy participating.
Yeah, thank you. That'll be awesome. And maybe one time we can have an evaluation session, educational session from you, something like that we could have.
I have done evaluation workshops, not very recently, but I have notes and so on. And what interests me is to be given a challenge, not just, give your own evaluation workshop, but like you did today, bring a topic like presence. And then I can ponder and think about and talk to other people about how is that related to evaluation. We have the speaker present, we have the audience present, and we have the evaluator present. And how do they all harmonize together? Mind-blowing. I have no idea, but that was intriguing to me. So if there's some aspect of evaluation that the members are interested in hearing about, I'd rather come up with something new than just recycle old material. So that's a possibility for me to give some sort of workshop. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye. Head off.
Thank
you
you.
again. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye. Good to
Thanks.
see you.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye. Thanks, Jamal.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you. Great
Good
job, JD.
JD.
Thanks. Great job, everyone.